welcome back to, well, my weedy orchard garden caterpillar tunnel. I'm Chrissy from Up the Windy Lane, and today we're gonna get a garden tour. It's gonna try to be really quick. We'll see how that works for me. Guys, if you've been following along, you know that I have this caterpillar tunnel out here that is in the making for like 2 years. I'm hoping that we get the plastic on it. If you watched the video that I just posted not too long ago about encouragement for your garden and for making or for building partially this caterpillar tunnel, know that it looks a lot different now, and the weed fabric looks a lot better. I did not get weed fabric in the middle, which I guess I should have, because I do have to mow this, but now I can't mow it because I did plant something out here, and I planted watermelon on one side and squash on the other, so now I have vines everywhere, and so I'm not able to mow unless I want to mow over my vines. I even tried or thought about weeding the plants, but there are some watermelons in there, and I'm afraid to uncover them from the weeds because the chickens will eat them and I won't have any. I was trying to find it, but I have a little one out here somewhere. You can see, well, you can see that one. I must have done something with that one. But I have seeds out here that are almost 10 years old, and I had a melon coming on, and I want to save that because I want to save the seeds. Look at these. Like, I don't even know what to say. So this was carpet that we had, indoor-outdoor carpet on our pool deck, and we didn't want it on there anymore. It was older. So I brought it out here and staked it down, and yeah, it's done really good. I mean, look at those watermelon. Those are crazy. And that's going to be so nice, except for the chickens are going to be able to see them. But it's really going to be nice because I'm going to be able to see them. Oh, look, there's a baby one. Right there. All right, so I got a phone call in between all this. Totally lost track of my train of thought. But anyway, so we're going to move down here a little bit. I've got this little helper out here who is just chewing on everything, running through everything. But I think from now on, I'm not going to trellis any kind of squash. I think I'm only going to trellis my cucumbers, and I'm going to show you why. So we have squash bugs, which those aren't the big culprit. The vine borers are. So pay no attention to the weeds. But this is a Tromboncini out here, and I was told that those are pretty, like, you know, good with squash bugs and vine borers. Not so much here, apparently. So the one in the garden is on a trellis, and it died, one of them died because of the vine borer. So I also saw a video that you could, wherever that main vine touches the ground, it will actually put down roots again. And so if the vine borer gets, you know, in back here, because it actually blocks the flow of water to the plant, and that's why the plant dies. So if the plant has another source up here to root down into the ground and get water, whatever the vine borers are doing back here will not affect what's on from the plant from this way on where it's growing. So I was trying, I got like bees coming out here at me. So I was trying to get some of mine, like I was trying to bury some of it, of the pumpkin. I even put my pumpkins on a trellis. I'm not gonna do that, I don't think. Next year, I'm gonna let them maybe put down some fabric or something and let them go crazy. But anyways, so these Tromboncinis are out here. This one is, and it's just growing wild. And it looks good. Like, part of it might not look good, but then if you get on down, it looks better because it's actually on the ground and it has rooted and put down more roots. So that is something I need to write down and remember for next year. Poor caterpillar tunnel does look a little rough. It needs some TLC, it needs this fixed, it needs, well, the plastic and all. So I'm hoping that gets done before too much longer. I did start weeding though down here, if you saw that in my other video. These are my peonies, and which I guess will be okay here. But I definitely need to get some more weed fabric. While it is doing its job. So it has been down for a couple years, and the only holes are where I think I have actually done that, or maybe a really big plant came through, but I pulled off most of everything on top of here, so it has lasted pretty good. It is actually fabric that I got from Walmart. I found it pretty cheap, and it's commercial, so it's really thick, and I do actually have some of that left, but not enough to do the whole thing. I think I'm actually going to buy some really good grade whatever it's called, that you can actually put holes in it if you need to. It's just going to cover it and make my life a lot easier with not weeding as much. Briefly go over this out here. This is a mess. I had blackberries in here. I pulled all those out, supposedly, and I planted strawberries. Those didn't work out so well, and now I have, if you'll see, blackberries coming up, so this may just be a blackberry bed. My Rugosa roses are doing fabulous. This is the pink one, and they are gorgeous. These are for rose hips, so I'm going to get a lot more off of these. These are really growing like crazy. I'm not sure that they even should have been put there. These were very small when I got them. This is a white one, which doesn't actually bloom at the same time as the other one. I find interesting, but they're growing really well. This is another bed that actually had strawberries in it before. Annabelle and the goats got out last year. She chewed a big old hole in the middle of them. They were just never the same afterwards. There actually are strawberries in here. If you can see that right there, that is a strawberry leaf. So there are strawberries in here by bare root plants. And I planted them, and I think I was just too, I don't know, I just didn't do it right. They didn't come back up. So I have those ones up on the patio that I bought at Rural King in the container that were discounted, and they're putting off a ton of runners. I'm trying to like root those in soil, keep them watered, so that when I get this cleaned out, I can go ahead and plant a new strawberry bed. But I have this one of my things on my list. You know how that works? Like summer is so busy. Did I say it's so busy? So busy. I pruned these last year, and they're gonna need it again. They did so well this year. I don't think I ever got as many blueberries as I got this year. And these are pink lemonade. So yummy. This is like, I don't know, a runt. It's just not very big. It's not doing very well. And this one here, of course, is horrible. Like part of it died off, and then part of it came back up. And that actually may be the dead part. I might have weed-eated the other part down. Oops. I have a bad habit of that. Weed eating and mowing things down. I'll show you what I did mow down. It did come back though. Tree that I'm not sure what it is. Gooseberry, apple, gooseberry, apple. That pile right there is an old apple tree that the stump is still there. We need to get that out of there so I can clean that up. Old mobile coop that needs to be fixed. Weed eater in the middle of weed eating this out here. This is the pear tree. But as you can see, if you have goats or anything like that, you do not want that they eat this all the way around. Obviously, they kill the tree. This is coming back out, but this is also grafted, so I'm not really sure what I have. So I guess I'll have to wait and see. This is one of the first ones that I got. I think it's a tangerine tree, not really sure, but it needs a really good pruning. I leave all this because there are cleavers in here and strawberries, because I was starting a food forest and got out of hand. And I do still have strawberries in there though, so that's good. I just kind of leave them, let them do their thing right now. This is the plant. This is a Juliet cherry bush I think. And this is the one that I actually mowed down. Now, mind you, I did have that stake there. I'm really bad about not paying attention. I just whipped right around that tree, mowed it down, and luckily it did come back. That's good. I mean, when I was younger, still at home mowing, like a teenager, I've like mowed down my mom's tree before, like a bush before. Even here, we've planted like small trees and I've mowed them down. Like I get in the mowing zone and you just need to watch out. Like it needs to have a big stake with like some kind of neon color on it so I will see it. That's how that works. This is another tree. I'm not really sure what it is. I've had it for forever and it's actually never done anything. So yeah, I don't know. This is a white peach that hopefully, well, it is gonna live, but yeah, you can see that the goats got it too. Didn't go all the way around, so that's good. If you have any suggestions for this, like do I need to wrap it, put something on it, that would be super helpful. There was one peach that came on it this year, which I planted it last year maybe, and then it disappeared. So this one is a huge peach tree that broke off last year when we had a bunch of ice. No, actually not ice. It was loaded with peaches and it broke. You can see the broken branches right there, and right here, the main one that goes up. And so we kind of did that, cut that down. I'm going to actually need to get up in here and really prune this back. I don't want it to be this tall. Just to have a goat pen right here. And in the middle here was where the like the hoop house was, where the goats stayed. So it was like manure, a lot of manure in there. So this dirt was black. It was really good. So these two trees right here, they, like, that's why they're so big. They grew really fast. Now they are the two of the oldest. I have planted I don't know how many trees out here. The goats will get out occasionally and they will kill my trees. So hopefully the 2 that we have left do not. But I mean, they can devour trees and leaves in no time. It is crazy. So this is another pear tree, or maybe my only pear tree. No, this is my other pear tree. And this one had bark off of it as well, but it did live because it did not go all the way around. So that's awesome. There is the hive that I'm going to be moving because there is no bees in it. Let's go on up to the actual garden and the garden where I spend most of my time. And then I will also show you my herbs. I'm just really trying to do this as quick as possible because I know how I am. I don't like to watch long videos. I don't know if you're like that or not, but yeah, so let's get up there. I don't even know what to say about this blackberry bush. It's got weeds growing up in it, and the blackberry bushes actually was dying off. So this is probably going to get mowed down. I've mowed it down before a couple years ago or so, when we had our oldest daughter's wedding, and it will come back. So I'm not really scared about that. And then I may just keep it mowed. I don't know if that one out there ends up being a blackberry raised bed. We'll see. I don't know. I get lots of blackberries off of this usually, so I may leave it, let it come back up. Okay, so this is like Loofahville. I don't even know what to say. Do you see the yellow flowers? Like, I wasn't sure if I was going to get loofahs because they were really just not taking off very much, but you guys, like, I don't even know what to say. I mean, there's like loofahs everywhere. I will put these on a trellis like this. They seem to be disease resistant, I'm hoping, because they are trellised, but they are going everywhere. I've actually cut some of the vine off where it's like trailing out into the yard and everything. I am so excited for these. I do need to look up because like these I just leave them. I'm pretty sure they like stay on the vine, they dry on the vine, and that's what I want. I think you might be able to eat them, maybe like a squash, I think. Don't take my word for that, but I'm pretty sure you can. But once they get like that big old green one, I'm just gonna let it go. It's going to these are just gonna dry, but this is 2 plants, like 2 plants, that's it. And they have just literally taken off. We got so much rain and the weather was hot, and they've just went crazy, and I'm so excited for them. Plant morning glories in your garden, beware. Just saying. I did not plant that this year. I planted them last year right there, and seeds galore, and that's what they've done. They've came up. So we've got some mint of some sort right over here that I moved, and of course, if you know mint, it does spread everywhere, but I just keep it mowed around or weed eated, and it does fine. So I'm pretty excited about that, getting that out here. I just like to have stuff here and there and everywhere. Just gonna go by bed so I remember. Bed number 1. These are the older beds. They all do have irrigation in them though. Now this I just planted, of course that's weeds. I just planted some bunching onions. I planted some, actually it looks like, what in the world? The seedlings have like dried up. I don't know. They came up and they looked good yesterday, so I'm not really sure. I don't know. Okay, well I guess I'll have to look at those. But I had bunching onions. There are some beets in here and some turnips, and I believe that is all in there. Bed number 2, yeah, is full of squash. I've got round squash in here, and didn't know it was going to be, well, that it was going to do quite that, because there is lettuce in here as well, and which is going to get tall because it doesn't have room. And of course, these crazy marigolds. If you save your seeds for marigolds, beware, because pretty sure, because I saved the seeds from plants that I grew here last year, they're just like so attuned to this climate. They just do like, they do really well. As you can see throughout my garden, the marigolds are huge. Number 3 does have weeds in it, and it does have some, I think this is like, I don't know, it's like flame lettuce, or I don't know, red something. I forgot what it's actually called. But that's really the only thing coming up in here besides the weeds. So this will need to be replanted, and I have to check my seeds. I do have some stray carrots, looks like, in there. Bed number 4 has been redone. I did have cabbage in there that was buggy, wormy, so I gave it to the chickens, but Do have a little squash in here that's not looking, you know, super great, but not doing too bad. So we'll see. I do have to put some stuff in here. Down here, bed number 5 is asparagus, which hopefully will get moved one of these days because I just really don't like it in the garden. So I should have thought about that a little bit better. And there are some stray tomatoes in there that I kind of pulled out because they got annoying. Number 6 is horseradish. Again, wish I wouldn't have put it in here. It's looking kind of poorly. And so this may get moved. I actually need to pick it. I've never even picked it since I planted a couple years ago. I do have ginger coming up. Didn't think it was going to come up, and now, so I have ginger to harvest this year as well. Number 7 looks a little poorly because I did pull out a bunch of stuff. There was, of course, some weeds in there, but I've snipped off some of the sweet potato vines. The calendula is looking kind of bad. I do have, well, you know, I don't know. I guess they just really like that. Not really sure why those are all on there. I have onions in here. And of course, as you can see, huge marigolds. Like, those are 2 plants. They've just, I don't know. Number 8 does have thyme in it. This is where I had my kale. And it did really well. So this will be replanted with something soon. I haven't decided exactly what I want to put in here yet. All right, bed number 9. If I can even get in here, this is why. Okay, this is my second succession of tomatoes. These either came up on their own in this bed or I planted them from some of the suckers that I cut. So they're now starting to red up and ripen. So I'm really excited about that. Along this edge, gosh, it's a root crop that I planted and it's in my phone notes, but I cannot remember what it's called. I'm excited to have some basil in there though. I did have some purple basil seed and I got that planted, so that's coming up. So I will be picking some of that, but I will also save some more seed. Mavis, what are you doing, Mavis? Really interested. She's interested in the shade and chewing on stuff I've pulled out, apparently. All right, so I do have a couple of things in this bed though. Let's start a couple of, actually I started more than a couple, but these are the only 2 that came up. So I do have 2 cucumbers over here coming up for another succession of cucumbers. And I forgot, there is actually also beans in here as well. I was planting beans to help with the nitrogen underneath the tomatoes. Here we are, bed number 10, and it's kind of the same thing. There are beans in here, a few weeds, and these are all tomatoes that were suckers, and I have no idea what some of these are because I pulled suckers off of some of these plants. Well, like that one is probably not a sucker. This could be a plant that got knocked off and the seeds all got mixed up. Number 11, of course, has like a whole row of marigolds. There was marigolds on the other side as well because this did have kohlrabi in it, which helps keep just the moths and stuff away. Now it has sweet potato vines. I probably need to put something else kind of in there as well. Oh, I forgot. This one actually has Kajari melons in it that started, and I saw them coming up the other day, but now I don't see them. Oh yeah, right here, a little Kajari melon. So I guess at least one of them came up, so that's better than none. The only thing with planting in the raised bed is you have to wait, and if it doesn't come up, then you're kind of like, do I wait? Do I go ahead and replant? But if you start your seeds like in a greenhouse or inside or something, then you're going to know if they come up. So I do have some stuff planted inside. I just started a couple days ago and then like last week. So those are barely starting to come up. Here's bed number 12. So this actually did irrigate this morning, so that's good. This does have marigolds in it. It has a poor little nasturtium that is not doing so hot. I actually forgot to keep an eye on it, but it does have beets planted that are coming up really sporadic, if you can see those. So I don't know. I did not have this net on it before, so I'm wondering if a chicken or a cat got in here and messed some stuff up. This is like crazy area because this is the comfrey that I actually cut all the way down a couple months ago, I guess. And you can see, yeah, it's came up. So I need to really just cut it back again. I've got yarrow over here. I've got some purple violets. I'm letting some of the clover go. And I've got some zinnias just coming up. And that is like a pot of wild stuff that I planted. I do have morning glories planted again. I put them over here, which is probably not the best idea, but I really like them. They're pretty. Okay, bed number 13. Did have, I forgot what it had in it actually. It had something, oh, I pulled out some of the marigolds. Like you'll see, they're so big. So I pulled out some of the marigolds and some of the flowers I planted because I actually do have jicama in here that did not start out well this year, and I have no idea if it's actually going to make it. There's like a lone pepper plant. There's this squash plant that is, I don't even know, cucamelon I think or something. We don't really eat them. I tasted them one year, we didn't really like them, so I've been feeding them to the chickens. Hoping this jicama kind of takes off. It's supposed to vine up, get real big, and produce jicama. I really like jicama, so I don't know. Number 14 is the cave bean tower. This is the 1500 cave beans. I have a video on that of where I saved a bunch of seed, and these kind of went crazy. So I will just, this will all dry once the pods get on there. There's quite a few, hopefully, blooms on there. There's a lot of green leaves, as you can see, but I will just dry those. I can use them for dry beans or seeds. There was marigolds in there, as you can see. They're kind of peeking out the sides, and there was kale on the other side too, but it was no competition for these crazy beans. 15. As you can see, I planted marigolds in almost all my beds, and they came up like crazy. I'm not really sure why this hibiscus is in here. I do not remember planting that unless I mixed up the seedling. So this is my nata pino, and it didn't come up at first, so I had to replant, and I am so excited because I planted it from seed like right in the bed, and it came up, and I've actually gotten one off of it so far. Now, last year, they did really well and were very prolific, so I was hoping one would be okay, but I don't know. We're going to see. It doesn't look super full. Maybe it's just because I don't know, maybe because it got a late start. Down to this side of this bed. So morning glories have been growing up, and I've been snipping them off, and that's why they're all wilted. I'm not sure why my pepper plant is wilted because it's gotten plenty of rain. This is a squash that was, oh, you can't see it because I'm in the way. This is a squash that was doing really, really well. Then, of course, squash bugs and the vine borer, as you can tell, found it. But then it fell over, and it's doing fine right here. So I don't know. We'll see how it ends up. Of course, there was dill. Do not have a short supply of dill in this garden. There is another not a pepper. There is a tomato plant that came up on its own. I had a pepper plant in this and it died, and then this tomato plant came up, so I just kind of wove it up in there. These are orange tomatoes. Okay, this is bed 16, and it has beautiful flowers in it. It has marigolds in it. It did have lettuce. I already picked all that. Actually, I picked it once for us, and then I picked the rest of it. I gave it to the chickens. This is a root crop that is not done yet. It kind of looks like a carrot. I cannot remember what the name of it is. So this is where the tromboncini was. It was over here in this corner. It did really well. I got like 5 of them off of it, and then these 2 came up really well. And if I back up, you can actually see what I'm saying. So if you can see that, they grow really well. I may have to get another angle, but they just hang down. So these are straight because they're hanging down, and I'll show you another one. Unfortunately, the chickens got to. Didn't even realize that until now, but you can see that it's curved because of where it was. So they do like them. There's dill coming up in this bed, as all of them it seems like. I did plant them partially for the chickens, so it's okay, I guess. A friend of mine has them planted as well, and she said you can pick them when the blooms die and they're tender, and you can use them just like zucchini or squash. So that might be a good idea for me because I do have a recipe I'm wanting to try. You actually can dry them and powderize them and use zucchini, or I guess it would be called squash flour. So I'm really intrigued how that would work. So I'll have to share that if I try that. Bed 17 has mostly tomatoes in it, but it does have a squash vine. So this one is coming up, and I'm pretty sure it was planted over here. Yep, it's right down there on the corner. Instead of it going up the trellis, it just decided to go into this bed, and now it's coming up this side. So you can see it is a spaghetti squash right there. Those were actually planted down here on the inside of the bed, and you can see this one made it to the ground, so it's doing better. I actually had 6 in here. 2 are doing well. But this is also a bed of just weeds and just a culmination of different tomatoes. You remember I had a greenhouse out back, like a small stand greenhouse, and it actually, the wind caught it and it dumped all my seeds, and I tried to save as many as I could, but then I had no idea what they were. So this is, yep, this is the result of that, some of those. So, and I do have flowers in here. I've really planted a lot of flowers this year. Bed 18 has peppers that I have not gotten a lot off of. These were actually peppers that I grew from the top of a pepper. And then this is 2 to 3 cucumber plant. And I've had to zip tie it to my trellis over there that I was going to use for squash, but it is doing pretty good. I've gotten quite a few. I've made lots of summer pickles in it and such, and I think I see, is that a cucumber that I missed this morning? Yep, that is a cucumber that I missed this morning. So the reason I would like to trellis them, like probably should trellis them over like this, is because they would hang down like the Tromboshini, and you can see them a lot easier. When they're like this, they're harder to see, but I will probably just feed this to the chickens because I'm out here and I've got plenty inside. So that is bed 18. Before we go over to the next bed, I am going to share what I have over here along the fence is rhubarb. I need to look up rhubarb. So I didn't pick any this year because it did say to not do that, let the roots develop. So most of it has died off because I think I had 10 to 12 plants and they looked really good. Now they're not. So I'm assuming that's just the life of rhubarb, but I do need to look that up. Bed 19 you can hardly see because it is full of tomatoes that voluntarily came up. I did not plant any tomatoes in here. I did plant marigolds, which of course you can see those because they're going crazy. There are some weeds in here, but this is mostly tomatoes. I know you see squash in there or like some kind of vine. That's because it came from over here, and that's what has been like taking over the walkway. So there are just, I mean, I don't even know. There's I guess grape or cherry tomatoes. It looks like there might be like kind of a Roma tomato in there. Like I said, these all came up volunteer, but they have done so well that I've just left them. Actually, they're getting a little heavy. I never noticed that. Look at my poor trellis. So the trellises that I made, I believe I have a video on that. They were super easy to make and really kind of cheap because of what you use, but apparently they don't hold up so well to like that really heavy tomato. Well, they're probably not for tomatoes, to be honest. Bed 20, as you can tell, like marigolds and dill. If I could eat marigolds and dill, we would be doing really well. I am going to pull these out eventually. These did have the mango beets in it, and I did pull those not too long ago. They were pretty good size. I do have some, let's see, white butterfly or white butter. Oh, what is it called? It's this plant, and I'm pretty sure you can use it for tea, and I need to put something else. I tried to get it to climb up that, but it's not cooperating very good. I need to get something else for it. I need to replant this bed. I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to put in there yet, if I'm just going to ground cover it, or if, you know, I can get some more radishes in, I can get more beets in. I have beets planted, but I could do more and kind of stagger them and just make sure that I write it down so don't forget. So this is bed 20, and it has tomatoes in it again. It also had squash that did not do so well. I put some onions in here, and it looks like there is a marigold vine that I did not plant in there that I've been trying to keep pulled out. There's a few weeds. There are beans in the back on that trellis that I'm letting go to seed because I do want more of those seeds. These, I don't even know, this plant is a spoon tomato, and it is literally taking over this whole bed. They are so tiny, like if you can see that. I mean, that's a tomato. Like, these are so small. These are spoon tomatoes. I don't know what to do with them other than like, I mean, I have a niece that just eats tomatoes like grapes or blueberries, so she thought these were adorable. I mean, you could throw them in salads and stuff like that. I kind of toss them to the chickens occasionally because they're sometimes really hard to find because they're so tiny in here. 21 is more tomatoes. These just took off in not too long ago. I've really been trying to keep up on the suckers, but I haven't done a good job. Actually, I just broke one off a while ago on my way and forgot, didn't get it all off of there. And then I saw this and I made sure, but that is lemon balm. I don't even know why that's down there. I don't remember planting it, but it looks super healthy, so I'm definitely not going to move it. I don't know if it was in that mix of greens that I got. Surely not. I am going to leave it though because it's really healthy looking, and I'll just leave that. I do have some okra planted down here. I'm going to show you that real quick. I have some I do have some okra planted right here, and it's actually leafing a little bit. I think it might have been a little bit stunted because, and it may not do anything because I had it planted earlier a couple years ago and it did really well. I do have some beans planted in here too. I had some extra seed and wanted to get them planted, so we'll see if that actually comes on up. This is bed 23. I'm not even sure if I said the right bed last time, but that was bed 22. Bed 23, this whole row that I've been showing you are all new this year. This does not have the best of soil in it, so it really didn't take off until later, because this bed was actually planted at the same time as that bed right there before it, and this one took a while. So it's kind of weedy. I had just tomatoes in here that weren't doing really well, so I didn't have stakes, so this is kind of a mess. This might be one that I even just pull out and plant something else. I mean, okay, well, apparently the chickens are finding stuff because they're eating all of my tomatoes. Last raised bed in here does have peppers, which I think I've gotten peppers off of. These are peppers from the top of a pepper I purchased. Then we have more cucumbers. These are different cucumbers from the other bed. I don't remember which one is which because I'd have to look at my note. But of course, flowers. So I bought petunias from someone at work that brought them. I believe it was an Amish man. And these petunias are like, they've just grown so beautifully. There are a few weeds in there, but they have grown so well. Like there's some over there hanging out too. Petunias along with marigolds are really good because they help with the fragrance and they kind of help keep pests and insects out, like the bad insect. I have enjoyed them because they're so pretty and nice and colorful. I do have one more row, I think, to show you. Some of it's not good, some of it's okay. I got some extra space left in the garden, so I did put these up. And so this is a pumpkin. I had 2 pumpkins, and you can see that the chickens thought the pumpkins were yummy, so they finished them off for me. I did not appreciate that very much. The squash bugs were on these, so I did pull them off of the trellis and put them down. And as you can see, I'm sorry, the vine borers is what I meant to say. The end of it, where it's down, is doing really well. So I find that interesting. I had more tomato plants, and you can, I've not really gotten many tomatoes off of these because these were a little bit later, but I've just been using whatever I could find to stake them up. But I had this extra space, which actually I think I'm going to take the top layer. So these are double layered beds. These do not have all of the soil in them yet. So I think I'm going to take this top layer off and put another row of beds over here. So I will have like 2 rows of short beds. I think that will be fine. It'll just require me to fill them a little bit less. Like these over here will be fine. I'll just have to put some more irrigation in. This is about the only pumpkin that I have that's actually doing well. I think there might be 2 here. I'm not going to say it's doing super well because it does have some leaves. You can probably tell there are probably squash bugs in there. I've really gotten behind on that. There might be vine borers, but it's down, and I mean it's like it's going all the way down there. So I'm going to have quite a mess, you know, this fall to clean up. It should be fun. I've got some more tomatoes. I've got some that didn't make it. Some more down here. I'm sure the chickens will get a hold of these just like they did my watermelons down here. So that's the only one I have left. And you can tell that they've they've been scratching or pecking at it. I did have a couple over here that I had to just pull off and throw to them because they do that. As you can see, they eat the watermelon, and at least they eat the whole thing, I guess. My few stalks of corn, I'm pretty sure they're just for looks right now because I really haven't done anything with them. And the ears are not super big. So I don't know. I'm sure I'll pick them and see what we get. This back here is actually finally taken off a little bit. This is supposed to be good for teas, and that's why I actually planted it. You're supposed to get a bunch of those flowers and you're going to make like a blue tea, which I thought was really cool. Oh, look, I even have watermelon hanging out over here. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that, even though I didn't plant it in the right spot. I probably need to plant it where I did the marigold so it can get lots of sun. It doesn't really get a whole lot here. I have some stuff outside the garden. I do have these old wash tubs that we had inside actually as our kitchen sink for a while. They started rusting. We didn't want to mess with it anymore, so we got a new sink. Put these out here. I did have squash in both of them. This is, well, it looks kind of sad today. I probably need to give it some water. We've gotten so much rain that I haven't really had to turn my irrigation on, and I haven't had to water, so I've kind of gotten out of the routine. So today is Friday actually when I'm recording, and that is usually the day that I water, like free hand water all my stuff, so I do need to do that before I leave. to go to town in a little bit. We do have that, and then I'm going to show you these vertical planters really quickly. These do well as long as it's wet. So as long as it's kept, you know, of course, water. They do dry out really fast. As you can tell, the marigolds are coming back up. These are Johnny Jump Ups. They're super cute. I even have like some calendula in here. I'm not really sure what I'm going to plant in this next year. I just haven't decided yet. The borage is not, I mean, it's just not doing super great. It's probably not the best place to put it because it doesn't get a lot of sun. Hyssop, on the other hand, it spreads very easily. So I have this really tiny plant right here, and you can see those flower heads on them, so many seeds. So they came up behind there, they came up in the pot back there. Just everywhere. I was probably crazy for bringing some of it over here and putting it in this bed, but we'll see. This is Love in the Mist, this tiny little flower here. It puts off a really cool flower, so I'm not really sure though why I ordered it and what we use it for. I've got some caraway and some motherwort. I do have some St. John's wort that I actually pulled out of the yard. That is some rosemary that I did purchase from Rural King because what I purchased from Azure didn't make it. I have one in the house that I'm babying. This was cilantro, and I just dropped some seed, and actually I'm pretty sure, yep, it's coming back up. So what I did was, this all died off. I popped the heads off. I just dropped some seed down in here, and as you can see, it is coming back up. So it's that simple to just reseed everything. I've never planted a toothache plant. This is also called Spilanthes. It also has another name, I can't remember. You should plant it, it's really fun. I've never used the flowers, but I have put a little piece of the leaf in my mouth, and it is crazy how fast it is that it acts. So it's just a really fun plant though. I do have some lavender over here that is different from the other bed. I've got some lemongrass. So I was just kind of experimenting with this bed, and you can see that now everything is growing well and it's getting bigger. So lemongrass, I don't know, we may have to be moved. We'll see. I do have some more Spilanthes. I always plant a bunch of it. I bought one plant one year. Bought a plant from my local farmer's market, and I saved the seed, and I have had plants every year since, and they grow really well. So you can see how well they're growing and all those seeds that I can save. So just be mindful of that. You can buy one plant, you take care of it, you get the seeds, you can have plants forever. Love saving seeds. So this is lamb's ear, which is really cool. I love the feel of it. It is so, like, it's just so soft. Like, it looks soft, but when you feel of it, it's crazy. So I have some feverfew in there, some marjoram. There is some Greek oregano hidden in there as well. And then we have some pineapple sage because my actual sage died. I'm not sure what happened to it. This is chocolate mint. This might have been a mistake putting it here. I kind of want this to go wild. I just have to remember what everything is. So I do have chives. I brought some thyme up here. This I'm really excited about because I got this holy basil from a workshop that our youngest daughter and I went to, and I got a little start, and it's doing really well, and all those seeds will drop and it will grow well there. Lemon balm that I have transplanted, and so now I have it in like 4 spots here, and some more chives. Of course, that is a weed. It doesn't look like the nasturtiums did well over here either, because this is actually one, I think. Yep, this is one, and it's not doing so well. So this is a hyssop. And then I've got actually some plants in there that I just bought, like a bulb set from Menards, just, you know, to kind of add some color to what those orange ones are there. I have stuff over here, like some of this just came up, like this came up, a volunteer from me dropping seeds. I've got more lemon balm. I've got some dahlias that I really don't think are going to come up and flower really. I don't know, we'll see. Elephant ear. This is where my main chives are, my bee balm. I've got more lavender over here. Vertical towers are not doing super great. I mean, they have stuff growing in them, but it kind of comes and goes. So I don't know what the difference is over here. Maybe, I don't know, than the other ones. These do need water. They're a little, well, not super sad, but they're like, it's like they're giving me a sad face. They want water. So these are the strawberries, and you can see they're putting off runners everywhere. Back here, we've got runners hanging down everywhere. So I should have lots of plants, so we'll see. Back here we do have ginger. I've got more ginger. Like, it didn't come up, and I would just keep planting it, and now it's, I don't know why it took it so long. This is a banana tree, if you can see that I actually cut off my other banana tree, and so is this one right back here. So this is my main banana tree that I purchased, and these are pups that are coming up. So I cut these off down at the root, was real careful, and I replanted them, and now I have like 3 banana trees. So if they live, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with them yet, but I do have citrus. The only thing that flowered was the limes, and they, look at those, they're so cute. They're quite a bit bigger than they were though, if you watched my other videos. Here, I'll show you this. These are the tromboncinis that I got. So I would let them ripen, and so here these are. You don't have to let them get this big, so I may actually try picking some of those out there and seeing how they are, if they taste good, if I could do squash flower with them. Then these are the mango beets. I mean, like, look, that's huge. So I did get a few of these. I did have to pull them. I was afraid they were gonna rot or something. So I did pull those out, and I gotta figure out what to do with these. I think that's it. I know this is gonna be super long. I just know it. I just really have a lot to show you. I'm really excited about how it's growing. I feel like it's a jungle and it's a little bit overwhelming, and I've got lots to do, and I just need to like take a breath and not worry about everything so much. But I have been seeding, and I have been starting new things in the beds just to go through fall. You know, I want to grow through the winter and have a winter garden. So I'm going to be sharing some things with that for you guys, and I've got some things coming up, something free you can download, and I've also got a guide for winter gardening. So I'm pretty excited to share that with you. I hope you like this. I don't know if you like the garden tours or not. Let me know below if you do like them, if you would like to see more of them, or maybe a particular part. I'll probably still share them, but maybe I can shorten them down a little bit. Be sure to like and subscribe. Be sure to share this with someone who might need some encouragement that all gardens are not perfect and beautiful. They are messy for sure. And don't forget to be lovely lights today.